Hello and welcome to episode 448 of the Mark and Me podcast. As always, I'm your host Mark. Now, joining me on today's episode is the incredible singer Estelle. A very kind of different guest for Mark and Me, and I can't believe it's happened. We get to talk all about her history and her brand new album, which is out now, called Stay Alta. It's such a lush, kind of summer feel-good album. Her voice is so good. It's smooth as butter, and I truly believe it's got something for everyone. But you'll hear all about that album and so much more in a couple of minutes' time when you hear the interview with me and Estelle. Now, less than 48 hours ago, you had the last episode of Mark and Me. It was with the incredible actor Casper Van Dien. We got to talk all about Starship Troopers and so much more. And I want to say now a massive thanks to Casper for sharing it. I've seen loads of new followers. I've seen so many great comments. I'm so glad you all enjoyed it, and it really was a great episode. But I think today we need to now talk about this episode. It's Estelle, it's me, it's Mark and Me, so here we go.
Take me on a trip, I'd like to go someday. Take me to New York, I'd love to see LA. I really want to come pick you with you. You'll be my American boy, American boy.
So Estelle, welcome to the Mark and Me podcast.
Thank you for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. Estelle, what I do with all guests that come on the podcast, and I've never changed it now for 8 years, is I like to always go right back to the very start. Now, with yourself, I'd like to take it back to literally when you were a kid and you were growing up, and if you can tell me about some of those first albums or music that you had playing around you that made you fall in love with music.
Oh my goodness. I feel like I started super young. I remember the first musical memory I have was watching Bob Marley on stage.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, about 3 years old. Now it was on a video, I guess, or they were playing it back on TV when he done live at the Rainbow Room.
Yeah.
I remember it distinctly because there's the word rainbow in kids, right? And then I remember my mom telling me about how like enraptured I was at the time, but I do remember being 3 and it being, oh my goodness, like look at this guy, like, like this is it. I think he was performing Zimbabwe, one of his songs, and I just thought he looked like he was in the spirit, like he was gone, like church or something. He was doing church, he was in the spirit. And I just remember thinking to myself, that's it. And since then after that it became maybe Nina Simone was another early memory, Pepe Cali were other early memories, African artists, jazz artists, reggae artists, those kinds of artists. And then as I grew up, it became gospel, R&B, soul, but with a little bit of pop and everything in between because we go to school, right? So it was a lot of different moments thrown in. I absorbed it from everywhere. The main thing for us was, as long as the music's good, it was loud in our house. Especially after we started going to church regularly, it became a real. My mom was like, "What are we listening to? What's the words?" Like, no. My mom was very big on. She taught us all outside of school as well as going to school. Like, she was extracurriculars teacher for us and our friends.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and so was my dad, and they did it for kids in the neighborhood, in the area, but also for us, so in their separateness. So it was always a thing I think that they had in common. They loved making sure that kids understood a new history and new extra things. So we were very well educated on music, on life, on English and things like that, and our history. So one of the things she was very clear about was like, what are the words saying? Like, is that really your life? Is that what you want to keep repeating,
That's interesting. I've had so many different people tell different stories. That's quite unique. And I suppose, was it amazing having such supporting parents? Because some people and artists I've had on have said it was always a stumbling block because their mother and father were against them going down a job that might not be secure. If you turn around to your parents and say, I want to be the next Bob Marley or Kurt Cobain or something, they can live in fear. Like,
Thank
we need you to get a real job, you know, like that can be a hobby. Like, don't, that's not going to work out.
No. The one thing my mom did say to me, and I grew up separately from my mom and dad for a while, and then they got back together. Just a preface, all right?
Yeah.
My dad started. My dad's a musician. He played with Bob Marley, ironically, went on tour with him a few times, opened up for him and stuff like that with his bands. But my dad, I didn't know this about him growing up, but he was a musician, and that's kind of the vein in which they met. My auntie was dating his brother, and they would all double date and go out to shows and gigs and whatnot. But my mom saw it after she broke up with him. Obviously, I've grown into a young lady, and her thing was just always like, have a backup. I just want you to have a backup because she wasn't putting anything that my dad did or anything happened with my family on me. But she was like, I just know that this business isn't linear. You have to work really
Yeah.
hard, and it could go or it could not. So just have a backup, which kind of led me down the path of every single career choice to today, which actually helped my singing career. Like I was a journalist, I worked in TV production, I worked in a record store. Like, there's so many different things that I did that made me feel joy in music, but wasn't necessarily singing, but has helped me make sure I know how to do music videos, make sure I know how to do interviews, like make sure I know how to interview people, like, all of the things that come with being an artist. It was very on point.
Was any of those things that you had as a backup plan and a kind of plan B, did it ever make you question, do I still want to do music because you're having such a passionate or incredible time doing something like the music videos or the journalism? Was it, it's only going to be music and this is all that really matters?
Well, it was like music is a focus. I'll say that. It
Yeah.
wasn't, I'm always going to do music because I mean, who wants to be, the dream is to be able to do this for your whole life
Yeah.
when you want to, not have to. So, it's worth it to learn other skills in general, and you pick up skills being a musician. You don't just sing and then go home and sit down. Like there's things you do when you're becoming a musician. You have to dream up music videos if you don't want to be taken advantage of, or if you want to keep some kind of uh, script for your career. You have to think about how you're presented to the press, to the people, to the world. So you pick up skills anyway. But it just helped that I had done it, had seen it, had been around it. So it wasn't such a surprise or such a when I walked into having to do it. It was grueling. It was a lot of it.
Yeah.
I didn't expect the volume, but at least I knew some of the tempos.
So when was the point that you got to experience live music, not just on a VHS cassette? When was the time that you went to that first concert? One of my first ones was Green Day, but also the Fugees. It was a random week, but I was probably 13 years old and my parents took me to both, and I just remember my mind was blown because I'd listened to it so much on cassette, but then when I got to see it in front of me, it changed my life.
Oh my goodness. It might have been common. So like doing rap, being a rapper first or breaking onto the scene via rap music, I should
Yeah.
say. Um, we, it was always a rap concert going on somewhere, right? But my first I bought tickets with my friends to go see this. Must have been common, I think, in Camden someplace. And it was one of my first, I'm gonna stand in the crowd, I'm not gonna go on stage, I'm not gonna try and rap, I'm just gonna go. And I was like mesmerized. One of my homegirls got dragged on stage with him. She was like, oh my God. She lost her mind. It was fun. To go dance with him or whatever. He would bring somebody up. So that was one of my first, oh, this is cool. But a more memorable one for me might have been D'Angelo
Oh,
um,
wow.
at the Brixton Academy, I think it was. And me and my friend we were in the middle. By the time we were done, we were at the front, losing our entire mind. Like, oh my goodness. I think it was around the time when he put out was it the second album? Not Brown Sugar. Oh, freak. His second album.
Yeah.
Yeah, Voodoo. Was it Voodoo? Yeah, I think it was Voodoo. Yeah.
Amazing. I suppose what I'm always curious is what that point was where maybe a light came on for you, or there was a turning point that made it become a reality.
Mhm.
So everyone can say to their parents or family and friends, I want to be a singer, I want to be successful, I want to write music, but there might be something, it might be a certain concert or a record label that shows interest, or there's an event, but something would have changed for you that then I suppose made it not just
Yeah.
a dream anymore.
Well, it wasn't even a concert. It was my own show. I think I did, it was like an open mic type poetry slam thing. And I went to perform and the mic was fine. The music didn't work.
Oh
I had
shit.
music, right. And I just ended up singing a cappella and they clapped. And they were so like, oh my goodness, like your voice is just good on its own. And it wasn't singing at that point wasn't my first thing. It was just like, just gonna sing, and I think I was singing at the top of my range. To me, it was just like, oh, this is the worst thing I've done in my life. And maybe a year ago, somebody walked up to me like, I was at that show when the music cut out and you just sang a cappella and it was a small poetry jam. And I was just like, because I remember that moment. I may have been about 17. I remember the moment and thought to myself, holy crap. Imagine if the music had stayed on and everything had just gone to plan. Like that wouldn't have been a moment, etched in his mind or my mind that, I just remember thinking that day, I could do this. I can really sing. I can really be an artist. I think people like this. I like this, you
Yeah.
know? That was kind of the switch. I was 17, I think. Yeah.
So how did that then become a reality for you to go? I think it was 2004 that you did your studio debut album, The 18th Day.
Oh,
I mean, that blows my mind. That's over 20 years ago now.
yes, 20, yeah, 21 years ago, shit. Well, I've been doing it since that day.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I did everything you could think of related to music,
Yeah.
able to do the album. When people are talking about like, oh, it took them 10 years to become an overnight celebrity, yeah, it almost did. It took, yeah, 8 years till that first album came out from that moment, maybe. And I've been singing in church in different versions of events before then. But I recorded on my own. I recorded with people. People gave me grace and people gave me free studio. I worked in publishing sessions. I half of my albums, to be fair, are recorded during publishing runs.
Yeah.
So if I'm signed to a publishing deal, even if I'm not, somebody wants to give me some studio time, I will use it to work on a record for my album. And I kind of took that work ethic into everything I did, period. Like I never stopped recording, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
every single album I put up, every single time every time I put an album up, the very next week or whatever, the minute I got a second, I had recorded a bunch of stuff into my phone or into a recorder, and I would go right in and just, even if it was just with the track playing in the background and on the recorder or whatever it was at the time, write the song, put it down, and just have it saved so I can go in and record it, and just do it like that. I never waited for a label, and I still don't. I never wait for anyone to just get the music out. You know.
That's a good way to do it. And I suppose everybody in the music industry only has one shot at a debut. And did you feel, I know it's looking back over 20 years, but were you really determined to make your mark on the industry on that first impact of a debut album? Or were you kind of, and I mean this with full respect, were you too young and a bit, not naive, but it was just too fresh, it was too early in your career to know how important a debut album is?
A bit of both.
Yeah.
I just wanted to do really good work. That was it. That was my main focus. I just want to make sure that this is good and I represent myself and my family well. Because my mom has this thing that she's kind of drilled into us from the back, from we were children. When you leave the house, you represent me.
Yeah.
So turn up properly. I don't care where and how it looks like, show up, essentially. She'd say in other more colorful terms, like wear good underwear, like good
Yeah.
underwear, just in case. Which is another joke about like, well, so what happens if I go to heaven with like terrible underwear? Anyhow, but that was essentially part of the training or the drilling that I got was like show up correctly. Don't go outside representing the family like that. And so I would do my best work. I would make sure to like make sure the records were good and the producers I'm working with heard what I was talking about because I trusted myself and I trusted my information. All of my training that I had gone through, my 10,000 hours, as they call it in the industry, I trusted that to be correct,
Yeah.
And so that was mainly it. It wasn't really I have to make this debut album the best thing. I was just like, this is good. And good, great is what, this is good and this is great, and great and good is what we're aiming for. And that's all I got, and whoever it's meant is gonna catch, and whoever it don't, it's not meant for, it won't. So I'm not too worried about all of that. The success of it all has been overwhelming each time
Yeah.
because I'm just very happy with it. And then everyone's just like, this is brilliant, or like they 1980 and Free did way above what the label thought it was gonna do. And then, Shine next album, like it's people come up to me and tell me on both albums the lifestyle, the life story that they were going through at that time and how it stays with them and how it was such a great album. And, it was a great mix of both, and it made them proud to be from London and or be from the UK and that kind of energy. And I'm just like, not bad for 23. All right now. That's good.
It's incredible, and the fact that I think Legend signed you
Yeah.
as one of the first artists to his own label, which is what an incredible experience to be that young and have like your
Yeah.
follow up.
Yeah.
A lot of people struggle with their follow up album because they've put everything into their debut, they've put their heart and soul into it and kind of bled themselves dry. And it's like, what's left to give? But you came along and smashed it out the park, and here you go, here's Shine, and it's mind blowing that you must have just thought, pinch me, this is a dream.
Well, I knew it was going to be something great. This is me saying it, knowing what we were working on.
Yeah,
You know what's crazy when you say it's my second album? It really is, but for most people around the world, that was my first album, which is nuts to
yeah,
me. It annoys me that people disregard sometimes the UK and the rest of the world when it comes to music releases. So it was a test run. I was like, that was my first album. This is my second. There was no sophomore slump with me. I
yeah.
walk, we're good, relax, you know. But it really just the whole story of how we even got signed was a whole surprise thing. The label at the time didn't really believe, didn't even know. They asked me who John Legend was after we'd been on tour. Like they'd helped to not pay for me being on tour with him. I went on tour. We did so much good work. People started, I was the only artist he would bring on tour with him whenever he would tour his Get Lifted album. It was a lot of like
That's incredible.
Estelle featured on, and I want Estelle, and Estelle was, a lot of talking that, arguably helped the album sell, but also helped him, in his business endeavors too, as becoming a songwriter and becoming a noted,
Yeah,
musician, I should say. So we worked a lot together. His whole thing with me was, how do you come up with those melodies? And I was always like, how do you write so seamlessly? And turns out he's an English major, so it makes sense. He knows
yeah,
the English language. I love English too, so it worked out. But the question wasn't hard. The question to work with me wasn't hard. He was on the first album,
yeah,
Hey Girl, and then when I came time to write the second, I asked him to exec produce it with me, like help me curate it, help me get the beats right, help me work with different producers, because I was already working on it maybe the day after we released it, you know. And he was like, "Yeah, I know you already got like 7 records." I was like, "About 10." Yeah, let's keep going. And he heard some of them while we were recording the first album. He asked me to play him a bunch of records. So anyhow, so that wasn't a tough question when I go back to the label and I say to them, "Hey, I want to gonna do the second album. Like, are we ready? John Legend's gonna co-produce it with me, and it's gonna be great. Co-executive produce it with me." And they were like, "Who? Who's John Legend?" And I was just like,
you
"Please
just
let
wait
me
and
know."
see. Yeah,
No, at that point it was crazy for them to say that because he'd actually literally, like maybe the week before, a month before, gone platinum
yeah.
with Get Lifted in the UK. They knew who he was. They were being disrespectful, and so to me it was just like, if you don't understand it or you don't care about it, that's okay. But you can't dismiss people's hard work, and
Yeah,
it felt like political. It felt a bit more like she got there without us helping that side of it, and despite, so we're gonna shit on it essentially. It felt like that, and I don't think it was a label. I think it was just the A&R, and I just didn't see myself going back to make a whole new album with this guy who actively wanted me to fail. And I was just like, yeah, this isn't for me. I'm not gonna put myself through it. Please let me go. And it took them 3 years, but they did.
And if I told you at that point,
Mhm.
by the way, you're going to have a Grammy, you're going to have a top 10 hit, American Boy is going to be one of the most played songs ever. And even now, when it comes on, people go crazy. It's like it's had this moment in music history which no one can take away where it's just a huge, huge anthem, isn't it? It's like it's got a I think it's like a nostalgia thing where it's got a place for everybody. They'll remember when that song came out, where they were in their life, what was going on. It might be over a breakup or meeting someone or something, but when you hear that song, it takes you right back to that time.
Listen, I that song went number one in the UK for 4 weeks, and I
4 weeks, amazing.
right. It did its numbers everywhere around the world. It's been over 4 million sold and streamed to the ridiculousness and continues to be. And I'll take it. I like it. I'm grateful because I prayed for that record. Like I was working on the second album and I said, I just want this album to be a record that people play, like you said, when they're going through stuff to make them,
Yeah.
when they're cleaning their house, help them with joy. To like, to be lifestyle, to be happy, to give them joy, to make them feel happy. And sure as their kids, people's grandkids are still bopping to American Boy. And I'm like, wait, it's not that old. But people would tell me, no, my grandkids, they love it. My grandson, my granddaughter's like, it's just like, oh my goodness. This is the prayer. This is what I wanted. So I'm grateful for it. I love it. It's a fun song. I channeled every ounce of joy I knew growing up when I was singing it. I was singing it with a big smile on my face. And I still sing it with a big smile on my face because it's a funny song. It's jokes, it's pure banter. It really is. It's not serious. So,
Were
I
you,
have
were you able to take a step back, or were you too in the moment to appreciate just how big it was and how your career, had just blown up? To win a Grammy, it's insane. That must have never even been an option when you were dreaming.
it was an option when I was dreaming, and it was an option because I'd seen Marsha Ambrosius do it.
Ah, nice.
I'd seen whenever I would travel to the US to record or just be off on my own steam, they would throw up people like Loose Ends and like Soul to Soul into the conversation. And those people had won Grammys and been highly regarded in those ways. So I knew it was possible. And also, just why not? People be like, oh, that's it. I'm like, absolutely. To be a musician, you have to be audacious.
Well, that's good. I like that because some people just come on and say, "Oh no, I never saw it coming," or "I never wanted it," and I'm like, "Yeah, if you can, I would love to win an Oscar one day." Like,
Can and if you have the skills and this is what you're going for, why wouldn't you want to win the highest award
yeah.
in categories? It shouldn't be a thing that I believe it's the thing that everyone, if you are working hard in your art and you're doing what you need to do, you can get that. That's not tough. You just have to be very convicted and believe it without a shadow of a doubt, and do your best work. Like the purpose can't be I want to win a Grammy. It has to be placed in something else, because that's what makes it enjoyable. And that's what helps you to be able to not sell it, but to perform it, to give it to people. And for me, it was placed in just the fun of it, the joy of it, going out and performing for people and seeing their literal faces light up as soon as that the intro comes in, looking at people's faces and just seeing them all be like, oh, like that kind of energy. It was like, I'm doing the right thing. This is what we do music for, to change the energy, to change the wavelengths. So
When that win comes and you've got that Grammy, and which is great that you said that you were going for that.
yeah.
What does your mind and your brain tell you because you've achieved what you set out to do, the biggest prize of all? Do you think, not selfishly, but like, I want another one? Or are you just, yeah,
Well, to be fair, I said I would pray in my like before when I was making this album, I would literally sit on my balcony in my house before I moved and be like, I want to win a Grammy for this next album. I believe I'm winning a Grammy for this next album. I'm winning a Grammy for this next album. And I would say it every single day in my prayer, like, thank you, God, for this Grammy that I'm gonna win with this next album. I didn't know at the time whether we were gonna finish signing the deal. They were still discussing it, like I said, 3 years. And I prayed about it. So when it comes, when the nomination comes, I'm so exhausted. I'm away from home. I'm in Vienna and we were on tour. and we're about to get ready to get on the tour bus again to go someplace or go home at this point. And to me, home wasn't really here or the US. I'd moved, but I was just, you know, and I miss my family. And I've been away for traveling and touring for like maybe 6 months out of the year. I was over it. I was over that part of it, the physical part of it. And I come down the stairs, I come down the lifts, and my friend was like, look, you got a phone call. And I was like, who now? Like, what do they want from me? I just want to get on the bus and go home, wherever that is. My publicist was like, you got two nominations. You got nominated for a Grammy. And she was like, I was like, what?
Say
I got
again.
nominated for who? Say again? She's like, yeah, you got nominated for two. I was like, huh? I screamed, thank you, did all the stuff. And then I went in the street and I did a praise dance. And my friends were looking at me like, what happened? What happened? What happened? I was like, it's two. We got two. And so by the time we win, I get on the carpet to win one. All of the moments of like pure, from the slight depression to what the heck is happening, to beating my lawyer in the head, to I got to pull another record, to no, this person was all of every single minute of every single thing just like through my head. And I was on the carpet when I won it. I didn't get to do the big speech on the stage because it wasn't televising that one at the point at the time, but it was just like I think I was in the middle of doing the interview and all my friends were watching at home and they told me and I was like, oh, will I do my speech now? And I did it on the carpet and thanked everybody and everything walking that I could think of at the time. But internally, I remember just thinking, it was worth it. I'm not outside of my mind to dream this big. I'm not outside of my mind to believe that this is what, or even think that I could do that. Yeah, it's literally happened so many times. Like there are so many moments in my ring, so many times and so many moments where I've dreamt something up and believed it wholeheartedly, and it happens, you know. But this was something that was like, all my friends were like, you said you were going to do it and you did it. Do you know how powerful that is? And I was just like, it's par for the course with me. This is what happens. I dream things up. And this is why I always say that I don't believe that you have a belief or something that sits in your heart or in your spirit that isn't meant for you.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not talking about obsession. I'm not talking about, pure will. I'm talking about like, I believe in spirituality and I'm talking about like, God gives you things for you to accomplish and it becomes glaringly obvious after a while what you're supposed to be doing. And there are certain goals and tempos that will keep you along your way. Now, having a Grammy isn't the be all and end all ever, but it was one really big, like shining light of like, you're going in the right direction, keep going. You
Do you
know?
have any idea what the next thing looks like for you that is that reward? It isn't another Grammy. Is there something that's in your head that you're like, it's a big milestone for you to tick off?
Well, now I want an Oscar, don't I?
Yeah. It'll
You
look
know,
good on the shelf next to the Grammys.
I need to become an EGOT. I've got the Grammy. So I feel like the EGOT is where I'm at with it. There's, Broadway, whether investing in Broadway or writing something for Broadway or acting on Broadway, maybe Tony, I'll give you my Tony. But yeah, no, I believe I do want an Oscar. I said that recently, and I think I should go get one, you know. Um, my friends laugh about the fact they're like, you age backwards, so we're not worried about you looking or being grown to get in a grad. I'm like, that's not my focus on my worry. Age isn't the thing. You're supposed to do what you're supposed to do on this earth. No,
Yeah.
just yeah, just do it. Get
An
focused.
Oscar would be good. I'd like to know that you get the opportunity as well to do your proper speech on the stage.
Okay, thank you. I received that. That's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
This would be exciting because people would be like, she said it on that podcast back in, 2025 and now it's happened.
Yeah,
That'd be
yeah,
amazing. And is acting something that you'd like to pursue in?
yeah. I am. I take classes. Though not as concentrated as maybe. No, I should say this. I've been taking classes over the years, and
Yeah.
even now I've been more concentrated with it. I believe that like half of acting to me is knowing and feeling it, and then the other half is just honing the skill of it, right? How you present it. And it's a lot less complicated than people would have you think it is. But it's not like an easy thing, if that makes sense. There's a lot of emotional. Uh, it shows on your face, it shows in your hands, it shows in your body movements when you're acting. And literally, what you're thinking can be translated. I'm one of those people where if I'm having a terrible time, you're going to see it on my face. Whether I try, well, however I try to hide it. It's like if I'm annoyed by something, it shows up. So like it's learning to like not let it show up in the in the movie or whatever it is. That's the thing that I'm working on right now. Delivering lines is delivering lines. It's just how it lands on the screen and in front of the viewer. That's the other thing.
That's amazing. And I feel that there are some people that are meant to do acting, and your career's kind of taken you to that point.
Yeah, it has. And the more I keep going out for auditions, and it feels like the recording process, like 10,000 hours, you know?
Mm.
So people are always saying like you should fall in love with the process. It really is about the process. And even with music, it's about the process. Because once you get the awards, that's great. But the fun part about music, the good part, the part that we all live for, or the part that we all do this for, is to be able to go into a studio and make something that changes your life, uh, changes the tone of the world. You never want to make a song that's kind of like, I mean, it was okay. No one really felt it, like, but I liked it. We don't go in to do that. We go in with the aim of making something that shifts the vibration, you know. You should That's my point of view on it. You go in with the aim of going to make something that shifts the vibration of the world. And that's partly what takes me so long too. Because if I'm not personally shifted, if I'm going through life, just going through life, um, and I don't feel like I'm evolving or changing, I have nothing to put in the music. I have nothing to give you. So I have to live a little, I have to shift a little, I have to go through stuff, I have to evolve before the music comes. And that's what takes every single album a little bit longer than regular, a little bit longer than normal.
Is that why it's kind of been 6 years since we've got the announcement now that you're going to be bringing out a new album? Is it been because you actually want something to genuinely write about, not just put pen to paper and think this will make a good concept? You actually want to experience it, so it's coming from the heart.
Yeah. I feel like the people that know my music know I don't just write to write rhymes.
Of course.
Literally have to live them. From 1980 to now, it wasn't just 1980, it was Free that reminded me of that. I feel like when I wrote Free, it was kind of like a response to everything feeling like you had to just, everything had to be about road and like negative, and also the way that people viewed young Black people at the time. I think the world in general was kind of like, well, they're all going to be this negative thing. And I thought to myself, no, that's not how I was raised. That's not my experience. Why would I write about that, as a thing? So the lyrics for Free were more just like, like I said, don't think about being less than yourself. Negative people are never good for your health. Don't have to kill no one. Don't have to steal from no one. That's not what we are. We're not a monolith like that. Don't peg us all in that bag, And I look at, I looked at my life and I thought to myself, that's something that is true to me. There's no version of me that is the opposite, And so I wrote that and it took me 20 minutes. And when I tell you it blew my mind, it was a lady, I remember at a show, one of these festivals I did, and she came up to me and was like, that song, because you said free on the chorus so many times, I would run on the treadmill and it really got me out of an abusive relationship I was in, like I could be free. And I didn't equate this version of this song meaning
No.
woman, and I'm 23. So it just reminded me like you're on the right path, you're doing the right thing, you're writing the right words. Don't ever deviate from this process the way you do it. It's correct because this is what you aimed for, making records that help change people's lives. Your version of living is helping somebody else live, you know? And I think that's closer to my purpose even more than just writing songs and just,
Yeah.
I didn't know what to do with that at 23, but I just knew it meant something. I could articulate it now. Like it was just a tap on the shoulder to keep going in the right way. So when I write records now, it comes from such truth. There's no version of me that is able to lie. And I'll say that with Like, there's no version of me that's able to lie on records. It doesn't come out right, you know? And I mean that emotionally. I mean that I'm not good at being given songs to sing by other people. I've maybe done it twice in my career, and one was half a record, and the other was a complete cover. And I wrote maybe the hook, the bridge, or
Yeah.
something, bridge. And even then, when I sang it, I was like, I feel this too deeply. I know these words too deeply. What's about to happen? And I end up going through it. It's almost like I called it in, or God gave me a record that was preempting me for what I was about to go through. And that was a song called Thank You, which is about a breakup. And eventually I broke up with a guy. It was a whole quite verbatim what was going on the record was happening in my life. And it was almost like God had sent someone to write it because I didn't want to write it because I was like in it. I couldn't see the birds for the trees.
Yeah.
But that's the only time I've ever been able to sing somebody else's words. So this new record is me, is for me. It's even more me than I've ever been. Every other album to a degree has been written for my family, for somebody else, for the people, for the expectations. This one is Estelle and how I'm moving forward and how I move through life. And it's intentionally about joy and dancing and being happy and enjoying my life because the things will the stuff will stuff, but I'm still me. I'm still gonna be me. There's no version of me that doesn't exist without this, that doesn't exist with this music, you know?
Do you, because it's been a while, do you get nervous now that you're ready to give the world such a personal look in your life? It's like letting everyone read your diary publicly for, waiting for 6 years to go, here you go, everyone.
Look, no, it's like freedom. So one of my practices is as I've been getting to know this version of me at grown 45 is writing things down that no longer serve me and burning them. So this is almost like metaphorical burning to a degree.
Yeah.
And some of it serves me and some of it doesn't, but it's just giving you an update to a degree of where I've been and where I'm going. So I don't feel weird about being like, hey guys, look, here's me, here's an open book because it's all really happy and joyful and positive. And I think, especially with the world as it is, and to be clear, I started writing this in about 6 years ago. Actually began it in 2012. I started really recording it in 2018. And throughout the pandemic, Panini, I call it the Panini because but throughout the pandemic, I recorded it in 4 hour spurts. And I just didn't overthink it. I felt exactly how I felt in that moment. I would go in with joy and with peace and with something to say. I would pray and ask God what to say, what He wanted me to say. And I channeled to a degree, is what people call it. But it was no fear about it. It was just like, there you go. I'm not judging it. I'm not worried. Go, you know? And every single record, maybe bar one, and that one we're putting on as a bonus record came out like, let's go.
Yeah.
Manager was like, oh, I'm just gonna sit back and look because you're in a flow right now. I haven't seen you in this for a while. And we did it, we knocked it out. It just makes me want the whole album makes me happy. It makes me want to dance. I'm not talking like Chris Brown dance. I mean, but if you want a Chris Brown dance, turn up. But it makes me genuinely like I two-stepped with every single song. I was body rolling, which is my go-to with every single song. I was like, it makes me happy as if I wasn't singing it, as if this isn't me having said the words already. I was in there like, let's vibe every single record. And that's rare because you tend to overthink it. You tend to just overanalyze yourself. This one I didn't. This album I didn't. I
Is
just let
this
it.
one going to win a Grammy?
I think it will.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I believe it will. Somewhere. We're on a single with New Direction called New Direction out right now. And the the literal response to it. And it's on one of our more musical records. I just said, we released three other records before, and everyone was like, "Okay, is this a single? Is she coming with an album? It's been a minute. What's happening?" But this fourth one, everyone's like, "Okay, the album's coming, guys. It's not a drill." And I'm just like, "Yeah, I told you." But it's our more musical one. It incorporates jazz. It has a lot of soul to it, and it features this new young rapper from Oakland called La Russell, who is one of the best to me independent artists out right now. He's figured out a way to make independent look brilliant. And another jazz musician called Keon Harold, who I watched this guy in motion, and to be young, to be my age range or a bit younger than me, and to play as he plays, it's almost reminiscent of like John Coltrane and them, that era
Incredible.
playing exactly. I sang the melody line and he played it. It wasn't tough. It was just like, so sing this, da, da, da. I'll sing that and he would play it.
Amazing.
Like, you're brilliant, so let's go. Very, very specific and musical.
And are you already in the mindset to play these songs live and hopefully get some tour, dates in the diary and then get a chance for the fans to hear these songs live and sing along and dance along?
Oh, I made this with playing it live in mind.
Lovely.
Did 5 albums of having to translate the music to a degree because I wasn't necessarily other than the reggae album because that reggae
Yeah.
is gonna be what that's gonna be. Reggae translates live and on record. Um, Bass lines do their thing, but this one I made it so that I could play it on keys if I wanted to, um, on bass if I wanted to, just a bass man in a jazz club if I needed to, with a full live band if I wanted to, with just music festival style, like just however I want to play this album, I can play it. And I made it like that on purpose. Me and the producer spoke and I said, I want to be able to play these songs with me and a hand clap.
Yeah.
Why? And he was like, say this. So the melodies are strong, the give and take, the different things that are happening in the song are strong. In all of the songs are strong. And I worked with one producer, a guy called Keith Harris, and we just drafted in musicians left, right, and center, or his people, and people that I loved. And we worked again 4 hours, knocked out.
And away from this as well, you have the Estelle show, which is on Apple Music, which is obviously what I love doing. And you love to talk to people and invite listeners to talk about everything that you do with guests. And, everyone's absolutely loving it. I've seen all the reviews and all the comments that people leave, and that must be amazing.
It's an expansion. Again, it's one of these things that I knew I was going to come back to it somehow, but this is the most beautiful way I could have come back to it. Like, wow, like God loves me. I think about that. I did Choice FM radio for a second with DJ Kofi when I
Yeah.
was 19, 18, before I really was, fully into music, learning about how to get my records played, because I had my own label and I didn't know how. And I said, well, maybe if I go to the station and figure it out, I'll figure it out. And I did. And I met different, presenters and producers, and it helped me get some of my records played. But I learned the other side of radio, the setups, the timing, So it's kind of, people call it a podcast. I feel like it's the same thing, but it's really a radio show.
Yeah.
5 days a week. And I get to highlight music from artists that, for instance, it's quite insular growing up in London as far as British artists. I play Misha Paris, I play Beverly Knight, I play Omar, I play, Donny, I play all of those kinds of artists alongside every other US, whatever, world artist. I go to Brazil with it. I go everywhere. I just play music that I love and music that I believe people should want to hear, period. And Apple Music lets me do it. It's a good time.
My final question for you today, and I've done this with every guest that comes on, and I do put you on the spot, but I've never changed it, and it's always interesting, is when the interview's all edited and ready for the world to listen to, you get to choose a song that means a lot to you, and it will play out after the interview. So me and you had our big chat, and then it'll have a snippet of one of your songs, and then when we say goodbye, a song will play. And the reason that song is played is because you, as the artist who came on the podcast, gets to choose it. I know that the music history is very big and there's a lot of songs in this world, but what's the one that came to your heart and soul when I asked the question that you would love to be played? And it doesn't have to be one of your own. Usually someone picks a song that means a lot to them or they grew up with or they have fond memories. But what's the song that you would love to be the song today?
Oh, that's tough. I have the melody in my head. I'm about to find the word. Give me one. I'm about to
No
find it.
worries. Some people take about 10 minutes to look through their Spotify or their charts or whatever they've got, but there must be a song that comes to the kind of your heart before any other.
So my song that I'd like for you to play after this is Stand on the Word, the Larry Levin mix
Okay.
by the Jew Bear Singers.
Amazing. And was there a reason that one came to your heart before any other?
Yeah, this song is almost like a mantra for my life. And not the verses, the chorus. The
Okay.
chorus, the build of the music. It's almost like everything that encompasses any one of my songs at any given time, from the stack hook to the I like an intro. Like since 1980, I like an intro. Same as American Boy, I like an intro. The intro, the piano intro, the fact that he used gospel choir, the fact that it's Larry Levin, who's like a disco house legend. God rest his soul. Like it was a gospel record that got remixed into the world, into the secular world, and it has been mixed and remixed and represented, and I love it. There's no version that I don't play this at least once a day.
Oh, wow.
Like
Okay.
it's one of those like it lives in my soul, it lives in my world, lives in my air, if that makes sense.
That's a good justification for me.
Yeah, it works. And I'll find the other record. Now I'm like, I gotta find it. I gotta find the other one.
We'll add that on next time you come on and talk about your Oscar win.
Okay, I like that thinking. That's what I'm talking about. Let's do that.
Thank you for coming on the show today, and I really enjoy speaking with you. And it's amazing that, I still think there's a massive future ahead of you. I still think, you are going to prove me and be like, yeah, I got the Oscar. Yeah, I'm going to get another Grammy for the next album. There'll be huge tour dates. The new album's going to do really well. And you just get to keep going through this cycle of being successful. So you're doing something really well.
You. I feel like I'm on the right path. I'm grateful that I can be. And none of it's easy, but none of it's hard when you're moving in purpose. So thank you, Mark. Have a good rest of your day, all right?
I will do. Look after yourself. Take care now.
Give me my roses. I need my roses. I'll take my roses. I'll spread these roses right where you notice, so you can have roses too. You should be proud of the.
So there's my interview with me and Estelle. I thought she was absolutely awesome. So warm, so kind. She does a podcast, so you know she's going to be great, but I just absolutely loved it. The vibe was just so positive, and I just kept smiling all the way through. I love listening back, I loved editing it, and I hope you guys at home all enjoyed it as much as me. If you did enjoy it, as always, guys, you know what the case is now. I'm going to ask you again for the 447th time or 8th. Please keep sharing the podcasts. It does cost you guys nothing to listen to Mark and me, but it also costs you guys nothing just to share it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Tell your nan, tell your uncle, tell your mate, tell the person down the shop you see when you're buying something. Go and listen to this episode. Go and listen to Mark and me. That's the way this podcast continues to grow, and it costs absolutely nothing to do that, and it's so, so appreciated. I do also have a Patreon account. Mark and Me is literally a one-man team, so to go and do festivals and travel all around the UK to record interviews requires me to basically pay for petrol and outgoings and travel and accommodation. So any money that comes in via Patreon goes right back into the podcast. So any support you can give me, there's a link on markandme.com, is greatly appreciated. Also, I want to give a shout out to the sponsors of Mark and Me. Firstly, Vice Press. If you want to get yourself a brilliant poster of any classic movie, go on vicepress.com. Add anything to your basket, add in the discount code MarkandMe10 and get yourself 10% off that first purchase. Also, if you love music and hi-fis and TVs and anything to do with audio and visual, hit up richersounds.com or visit any of their high street stores. Right, I'm just about to leave for 2000 Trees. I've got the busiest couple of days ahead of me. I can't believe I'm going to be on stage with Coed in Cambria. I will be back next week with loads of specials, loads of normal episodes of Mark and Me, and there's so much coming up. I say this so many times, but it's true. I've never been busier. It's absolutely chaotic, but I love every minute of it. I thank you all for listening yet again. And what I'm going to do now is say thanks, take care, go and listen to Estelle, and I'll speak to you all very soon.